Hello all, it's the old geek here, and I have to say I am very sad to feel drawn into making this video. I've created my channel initially to do reviews, but I've had loads of good discussions and all sorts since, and my stance on certain issues has remained solid. I hate politics in the hobby. I don't like people bringing personal politics into the games that I love. There are certain people whose works I will not buy on both sides of the aisle and for different reasons. Well, I say for different reasons. The reason is because they are injecting their politics in, but politics from different sides. People seem to be intentionally stirring the pot, trying to create controversy in order to sell their stuff. I would much rather see games sold on merit, on enjoyment at the table, on quality of material, on thought of presentation, on ease of use, and not through appealing to one tribe or the other. Anyway, this page you see here, see how it says this page is left intentionally blank, and underneath there is a pale grey wording. This is from a new retro clone of White Box. I'm not going to give the name of the game. I don't think it deserves it. And I'm not sure if this is the page that will appear when it goes to print. But the author has admitted to its authenticity. So whether that person put it out there intentionally, whether that person put it out there by mistake, we don't know. I don't know. But it's definitely the writing of the author of that particular retro clone. Listen to this. Fantasy... Oh, there we go. Here's the name. Here's the name of it. Put your teeth in, John. Fantastic Medieval Campaigns is a recreation of what is at best a deeply reactionary work of art, if not a fascist one altogether. This is a recreation of White Box D&D. Already the author is disparaging its creators, disparaging that work. We recognise now that the authors, as well as some who were in their circle, thought quite badly of women, indigenous people and others. Who recognises that, other than some people who twisted words, who took the maybe ill-chosen phrases of a group of old nerds who'd grown up in the 50s, 60s and 70s, made them into some form of demon. Remember, nerds, a lot of us are a little awkward. A lot of us don't always get our points across particularly cleanly. We are prone to clumsy choices of words from time to time. That does not make us fascists. We are often resistant to change. That is a common trait of autism. We get a routine. We discover what we like. We discover what engages us. And we push back against people who try to change it. However, we should let the text speak for itself because it speaks loudly. This book is a guide to fantastic wargame campaigns where players take on the roles of sword and sorcery adventurers seeking greatness. They will begin in the underworld, simply slaying monsters and retrieving treasure in the form of gold, legal tender, ready to be exchanged on the open market. As characters accumulate treasure, they acquire superhuman abilities and political power to boot. Heroes, thaumaturgists, and bishops emerge from their colonial catabases. I've not seen that word before. Conquering land by which to become lords, wizards, and patriarchs. They will establish sanctuaries and, with their vast armies, turn the tide against the forces of evil chaos which they have always resisted thus far. Right. That bit there doesn't differ at all from the original intentions of early versions of D&D. You would begin at low levels with the pure intention of saving the day, killing evil beasts, accumulating treasure, to gain power, to gain land, to gain knowledge, and then establish a stronghold and fight the forces of chaos, because most characters traditionally fought for the good guys, the paladin, the ranger. These are classes that were iconic in AD&D. Pure good guys. The setting in general is one where might makes right, where the violent extraction of resources is central to the protagonist's activity, and where participation in these things is rewarded with not only political power, but the sort of physiological and supernatural power which colonizers and fascists imagine themselves to have. What? So, with alignment in the game, these are objective forces of good, neutrality, and chaos. What is bad about an objective force of good? I'm not talking about subjective. No, not subjective. Not based on whoever has the same religion or whatever. We're talking about objective forces of good. The D&D worlds of yesteryear had objective forces of good. Good deities, evil deities. And they rallied their own forces to their causes. And most characters in these games fought on the side of good. It is a mirror to the desires and fantasies of its original authors, a bunch of white, straight, cis-sexual men in the Midwest. Just as it is a reflection of boys' pulp literature at the height of the American culture about crushing one's enemies and driving them before oneself and hearing the lamentations of their women. Right, okay. There have been a number of videos made about hobby demographics and the like, and why the hobby hasn't appealed to certain people and certain communities, and community pressure and what have you. I'm no expert on the topic, but I remember my first ever AD&D gaming group back in my school days. One guy was obviously gay. We had a Polish immigrant, although we had an occasional player who was Asian. Asian as in India, because in Britain we use the term Asian to describe South Asia. But one thing bound us together: we were all nerds. And our little group was our little place to escape away from issues that we faced because we were nerds. Nerds are amongst the most accepting people on the planet towards people who would consider themselves to be marginalised in some way. We've been falsely tainted with a brush because we don't cope well with change, especially not change that is forced upon us. that does not make us bad. That does not make us bad at all. You want to play games with us, you're welcome to play games with us. But please just don't change the games we like. All in all, this work was not written in a vacuum, nor did it spring out fully formed from the heads of its creators. They were nerds. They were recreating mostly Western fantasy, myth, legend. But if you look into the origins of a lot of the beasts that were in early D&D, many of them came from Far Eastern myth, Central American myth, Indian subcontinent myth, and so on. It was just a big mishmash of mythology because the creators loved the mythology. You can use this book however you like, or even attempt to play it with the mindset of a mid-century American man, but do not delude yourself with regards to its content or the fantasy which it encodes. That being said, as the author, I offer up this work for analysis, critique and reflection. What is wrong with trying to emulate your heroes? What is wrong with trying to emulate the fiction that drew you into the hobby in the first place? Do as you choose. Play the game how you want. Just don't tell everybody else what to think and how they should play. I hope Fantastic Medieval Campaigns gets the backlash it deserves. Me, I will stick to playing OSE or my original AD&D books or Osric, because they don't do any of this. No preaching, no politics, no tarnishing of the characters of people who created the hobby. I've been the Old Geek. I wish I didn't have to make this video. Thank you for watching.